Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Ghostbusters 2016. The saga motherfucking continues. I am your host, Tony Dubz, for this journey into the current goings-on into the world of Ghostbusters. I haven't done one of these videos in a while. The last one I did was entitled Ghostbusters 2016 Feminism's Swan Song? With a question mark. And don't let the title mislead you if you are a feminist or whatnot. It's, I'm not a feminist myself, but I think I try to remain as neutral as I possibly could. I may have said some things in that one that you may not like, you may trigger you, but I encourage you to go watch it because I think it's important given what we're seeing going on since the embargo lifted on Sunday. So speaking of that, what I wanted to get into here is, number one, I haven't seen the movie yet. I feel like I'm not going to, and I'm going to explain why. I feel like I don't need to. From what I've seen, from all the reviews I've read and seen on YouTube, the articles and all this stuff, and from all the trailers and the Reddit leaks and all the 40 TV spots, all the web clips. I think there was even more than that, honestly. I don't remember. But I've seen all this shit, I've been mostly on the fence about this movie, but leaning towards the it's not worth my money side. But I've been open to it. Like, I'm not one of these guys that just, look, I'm a lifelong Ghostbusters fan, but I haven't been totally opposed to it. I've been very vocal about it and how it looks like a huge disappointment to me. And that's another thing that's important to remember. These are just my opinions. I'm not looking to say anything definitive about the movie. I may say it's bad from time to time, but that's just me from my point of view. I know some people agree with that, some people disagree with that, and that's fine. Get with me in the comments below. We'll discuss it if you feel like discussing it with me, if you feel like I made a point you don't agree with, or you agree with me and you just want to slap dicks together. I can do that too. So, I'm sorry, slap neutrino wands together, So, yeah, the early reviews started coming out Sunday night, Monday. The movie opened in the UK on Monday. And honestly, most of the reviews I've heard from the UK haven't been that great. I don't know what it is over there that's different from over here, but a lot of the reviews, I haven't read all the reviews, honestly, but a lot of them haven't been that great from over there. As far as, just general viewers go. The critics have been mostly middle of the road on it. If you go look at the Rotten Tomatoes, and let me just say about Rotten Tomatoes, I'm not a huge fan. I've never really based my opinions of a movie based on that site. There's a few critics that I trust, a few YouTubers that share similar views to me, usually, Wrapped Up in Film, I believe is the name of the one channel. She is usually right on point with what I feel about most movies. So I trust her. She put up her review today, and again, from everything she said, it just tells me, don't waste your money, Tony Dubz. You'll be disappointed. So, again, that's just me. It looks bad. I'm just being honest there from my point of view. And I don't feel like I need to pay to see it because, again, all the stuff we've already seen, all the reviews I've seen, it's pretty much painting a picture of what I expected. An average movie, which is not what Ghostbusters deserved. And, I'm not going to give money to a movie I feel like is half-assed. That's just not... I'm not going to do it because it's another remake. It's another reboot. And a reboot, I was totally on board with a Ghostbusters reboot. But this isn't a reboot. It's a remake. I don't care what you want to say. It's a fucking remake. I don't care if they're planning a cinematic universe. This specific movie has too many things in common with the original to be considered a reboot. But let's get into these reviews because I don't trust them. Most of them I don't trust. The reason being is leading up to this movie, a lot of these bloggers, journalists, a lot of these people that are reviewing this movie have been very vocal and have attacked fans for saying whatever, again, it was a vocal minority that was trolling over sexism. Honestly, if you really look into everything, which I know you're not going to, if you're on that other side of the board, you're not going to research this shit. You don't need to because you have your mind made up. And a lot of people that were very critical of the trailers have gone and seen the movie and be like, it's not that bad. But a lot of them also say, I wasn't a huge Ghostbusters fan, or I was a huge Ghostbusters fan, but I was I didn't have this preconceived idea of what the movie should be. And I'll admit that I do have that, because I feel like the Ghostbusters has a legacy. I feel like if you're going to make a movie with that name, it has to have a certain tone. Not that you can't update that tone and make it relevant to the times, but I also don't want fucking fart jokes and queef jokes, which are apparently in the movie. And if that's your thing, that's fine. You have that. I don't care. Like, that doesn't bother me. I'm glad this movie found its audience, if that's the case. But the audience isn't me. But I'm just trying to cover it here because, again, I don't trust most of the positive reviews so far, because there is a clear agenda. This movie, whether it wants to be political or not, there is an element of politics. There is. You're lying to yourself if you don't agree with that. Whether the movie itself makes a definitive statement on feminism or social justice or whatever, it's still there. It's still something that feminists are going to latch on to. Even though, from what I've heard, it's not exactly a great feminist. Like I said, the movie itself, even though I believe Paul Feig probably tried, it doesn't have the best feminist message from what I've heard. In fact, it doesn't have much of a message at all. It's just kind of bland. Here's my thing. All right, when Batman v Superman came out, there was a lot of the movie's average, but it's bad, don't go see it. And in this one, there's a lot of the movie's average, but do go see it. And maybe that's just because it's a comedy. I find it hard to believe that so many people can have so many problems with the movie that they still fall on the side of, if we're going to go with Rotten Tomatoes terminology, fresh. It just, like, it doesn't add up to me, because a lot of these critics are very left, and I'm a liberal. I fall to the left. But I think they fall a whole lot farther to the left than I do. And again, leading up to this, all the articles and all the attack campaigns, something doesn't add up. It just looks weird. That's why I can't trust these reviews that are coming out. That's why whenever somebody writes this long write-up on Reddit and says, well, it had this wrong with it, it had this wrong with it, it had this wrong with it, but it was fun, so it's a good movie, And some of the really, really positive reviews are just clearly, like, come on. And there's been this thing going around, Sony pays people for good reviews, like, I don't know if I believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe in the whole paid reviews thing. I know there was just that Shadow of Mordor situation with Warner Brothers that just came out. Sony's been known to do it in the past, but I don't think they needed to in this situation because of the agenda, because of the politics that maybe the people that latched onto this movie as some kind of token of feminism, they're the ones perpetuating that. Because, look, they're very prevalent on the internet. They're a small minority of the overall population of the world and of the U.S. especially. But on the internet, they have a pretty loud, pretty strong voice and a lot of influence. They've even managed to influence things out in the real world, too. Whenever you know for a fact that a lot of these bloggers, a lot of these journalists, critics are part of that camp, it's really hard to trust. So that's why I have, just a few critics and a few YouTubers that I will be keeping my eye out for. Wrapped Up in Film was one of them. She didn't give it a good review. I usually agree with her on movies, so already that's one strike. And the guy from Reckless Eating that did his review, I think it went up on Sunday. He pretty much, put it exactly as I expected. Exactly what I expected to see in that movie is what he described. From everything I knew beforehand, and I'd never seen any of his stuff before, so I'm not gonna really put my money on what he says. I agree for the most part with his, because he points out certain things, and the way he criticizes those things, I would have those same opinions if I had experienced as well. I do trust the guy, but I don't consider him one of my critics. He's not a critic, first of all, but I don't consider him one of the YouTubers that I look to because I've never looked to him before. But I think, he made some very valid points. And before I move on about the Reddit reviews, like the Redditors that have been talking about the movie, and one common piece of rhetoric I've seen is like, it was like before the movie came out, everybody's talking about, well, what about all the other reboots and remakes? Nobody was raising hell about those. Well, now the common rhetoric is it's not the worst remake or reboot we've gotten so far, so it's cool. You know? Fuck it. It's alright. It's passable. No. I mean, one guy actually said, and I quote, was it great? Absolutely not. But what reboot has been thus far? I've said it before on this channel, and I'll say it again. Reboots and remakes. Reboots more so than remakes, but they can be done well. If all they're going to do is cover the same beats and do a bunch of nostalgic callbacks, why bother? Everything I see tells me that this movie doesn't have enough confidence to stand on its own. They didn't try to even give it a story that stands on its own, and it relies too much on forced nostalgia. And a lot of the reviewers, even the positive ones, are saying that. It's like, if I want to see stuff that references the original movies, I'll watch the original fucking movies. Why would I want to give $15 or however much to go see a new movie that just spends a lot of the time referencing a movie that I've already seen and love? It's not creative, it's not original, and it's clearly a cash-in. And I'm not trying to say I don't believe the people reviewing this movie. I'm really not trying to say that. I believe that a lot of them truly enjoyed the movie. Now, this was posted several places all over Reddit. So we're going to go through this, and this kind of validates my belief in the agenda, in the fact that there are probably some people who have reviewed this movie positively, not allowing themselves to give it a bad review. But this is mostly highlighting the people who, up until this point, have been attacking anybody that's been critical of this movie, whether they said anything sexist or not. They've been calling them misogynist haters. You know, the only people that are hating on this movie, the only possible reason anybody could have to hate on Ghostbusters 2016 is misogyny, is sexism. And if you're a woman, it's internalized misogyny. You know, you're a supporter of the patriarchy, and all of us dudes are ghost bros, you know. And it's, when you put out articles like that, it makes your eventual review of a movie very, very hard to believe, especially if you get a positive review. And of course these people are going to give it a positive review. I called it in my last video on the subject. Again, the links will be in the description. You can go watch my last video on this subject. I called it. I said that people would be, whether this movie was good or bad, especially if it was bad, or at least average. I suspected it would be average at best, and they would still give it a passing grade because feminism. You know, I don't know that for a fact, but, you know, 2 and 2 makes 4. Peanut butter and jelly makes awesome. For example, quickly looking at positive reviews and the other activity from the authors. First of all, I want to say thank you to Sodium Muffin for putting all this together. I was actually going to do this, and then I watched the Mundane Matt video, and he was like, and he went over, he pulled this article, he pulled this post up, and I was like, oh shit, I don't even have to do the work now. So I went and found this myself. Stephanie Zacharek, I guess that's how you say her name. She wrote a month ago, why Ghostbusters is the must-see movie of the summer season. And one of the highlights from that, he says, is her quote of, the misogynist outrage over the Ghostbusters remake has made it essential viewing. And he says, how likely is someone who wrote that to give the movie a negative review? And I completely fucking agree. So then you got Barry Hertz, also gave it a raving review from Globe and Mail. This reboot is a revelation, and it ain't afraid of no misogynists. Well, maybe not so much a mystery as just a dispiriting reminder that misogyny is alive and well on the internet, where it can... Okay, let me take a breath here. Modest... Word... I was saying this word earlier. I was reading this. I actually said it a few times because I was like, when I make this video, I have to be able to say this fucking word, or else I'm going to look like a moron, and I guess I'm just going to look like a moron. Metastasize? I think I got it right. To gross extremes with zero justification, and for anyone eager to stand atop a pedestal to righteously proclaim that objections to a no Ghostbusters simply stem from a frustration with Hollywood exploiting adolescent nostalgia, well, where are all the virulent internet campaigns against, say, the new Ninja Turtle series? Well, there's not a lot of campaigns against that because, like, there have been cartoons that have been great. The new animated series is great. The one from 2003 was great. In the case of Ghostbusters, there's been this huge gap. You know, you had the original movie, which is really all we're counting here. I mean, yeah, the real Ghostbusters was awesome. Extreme Ghostbusters was awesome. The second movie was mediocre. I tend to enjoy it. A lot of people don't. I get it. But there's this huge gap of time in between Ghostbusters movies. The Ninja Turtles have been, like, on the scene regularly. And especially since the new one featured things like Bebop and Rocksteady and Krang, people were really hyped about that. And it hasn't gotten great reviews. Nobody's been like, well, people have been hyped about Ghostbusters, but the large majority have not been because the marketing has been complete shit. Like, you can't deny that. Even the fucking people that worked on the movie admit the marketing was shit. You know, and you're going to sit here and not understand why there's been this huge backlash from the fans saying, what the fuck have you done to our favorite franchise? Come on, man, you piece of shit. You know what the fuck it is. No, it is easy to see what the Ghostbusters furor is really all about. Angry, bored, women-hating men expending otherwise untapped energy, mining their own feelings of social inadequacy in a toxic bid for attention. Do you really see people saying this, and this I'm not happy about, and you just hear, I hate women. Fuck all women. Women are bullshit. So also you got Nigel M. Smith. I mean, back to that. Clearly, that much focus on the politics, that guy doesn't have an agenda, really? I mean, he may have enjoyed the movie, but did he? I mean, it's hard to say that he did. Did he really enjoy it, or is he just afraid of being a misogynist himself? You know, if this is his frame of mind going into it. Nigel M. Smith from The Guardian. Ghostbusters review. Call off the trolls. Paul Feig's female reboot is a blast. And he says, shockingly, the guy that's been complaining about haters for months before seeing the movie thinks the haters were wrong. Can't wait and screw the haters. New Ghostbusters trailer nods to controversy over race and gender. So this guy has been excited for the controversy. Like, he's been all about it. Like, he wants the controversy. He wants the politics. Fuck the haters. The new hashtag Ghostbusters trailer has me psyched. It doesn't need to. Women and gays will make it a hit. Hashtag Ghostbusters targets male viewers with the NBA ads. Girls rule. Women are funny. Get over it. I actually think the hashtag Ghostbusters concept works better as nerd girls versus mansplainers instead of blue-collar schlubs versus the EPA. Gosh, man. Agenda fucking city. Like, could you be any more of a fucking, I hate to use the word cuck because it's so overused now, but goddamn. I mean, really? Nerd girls versus mansplainers? So you want to have this fucking divisive, almost Civil War of the sexes mindset for the fucking world? Like, is that really the world you want to live in? I mean, come on, dude. Like, no, that's not better. Like, it makes more sense for these blue-collar schlubs that are just trying to make a dollar, that are just trying to fucking feed themselves and keep a roof over their heads, to be at odds with some government agency that wants to shut them down. Nerd girls versus mansplainers? That's fucking bullshit. That's fucking 2016 first world problem fucking special snowflake wah. Give me a tissue and a tampon bullshit. Yeah, call me fucking misogynistic because I used a tampon reference. Allison Wilmore, BuzzFeed News. Of course, BuzzFeed. Come on. If you don't know BuzzFeed has an agenda by now, you're living under a fucking rock. Remaking this beloved film with women as leads is an act revolutionary enough to attract the ire of legions of ghost bros, insisting that the very concept will warp time and space to retroactively ruin their childhoods. And again, I've never been one to actually, like, that whole my childhood's ruined shit is bullshit. I was 2 years old when Ghostbusters came out, but it's a movie that I grew up with. It's a movie my father loved. I loved it. We bonded over it. We watched it many times together. He died when I was 17. So it's a movie that reminds me of my father. And I feel like, you know, the whole ruined childhood thing I don't subscribe to, but I understand. Robbie Collin of the Daily Telegraph. A previous article, he said, forget the sexist naysayers, says Robbie Collin. If the first trailer is anything to go by, this all-female reboot will be every bit as fun as the 1984 original. You got that from that first trailer, dude? Really? Really? I mean, again, I'm not one to say that stuff like comedy and shit is definitively bad or good. Again, it's all subjective. Honestly, comedy is pretty subjective. But that trailer was bad, man. I'm sorry. It was. The pacing was horrible. There was like the jokes were just outdated and flat. I don't care what you say. Even most people that have seen the movie at this point have said that those jokes are still bad within the movie. I mean, come on, dude. Like, you're stretching it a little bit. Devin Faraci, Birth Movies Death. Fucking hate this asshole. One of his previous articles on it, the soft sexism of hating on the new Ghostbusters. I'm not going to click on it, but obviously. And on Twitter, he's got a bunch of fucking shit posting going on. So this guy says to Devin, if it's good, that's awesome. But this opinion that if anyone says the movie looks bad, that they are automatically sexist is crazy. And Devin says back to him, it's not crazy, it's true. And the guy's like, why? And Devin says, I don't know why you're sexist. Probably because girls don't like you. This guy's probably just being a troll, just trying to fuck with this guy. But at the same time, like, aren't you supposed to be a professional? Like, isn't, like, you know, being a critic and, you know, part of that interacting with your audience on Twitter, shouldn't you be a little bit more respectful? I mean, that was a perfectly honest statement. You know, you have, how many movies in the past have people been able to criticize and then have somebody come back and be like, well, you're just a sexist or you're just whatever if you don't like this movie? It's fucking ridiculous. Not everybody fits into that fucking mold. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, there have been some sexist trolls, some assholes out there. But that doesn't mean that anybody that has legitimate fucking things they see in this movie that they see is wrong is a fucking sexist. No, it doesn't work out that way. It's ridiculous to think that way. So yeah, I guess that's all that post. And it was just a few examples. But if you got these few examples here, how far of a stretch is it to say that, you know, a lot of the other ones could be similar, you know, that could have similar fucking agendas behind them. So now I want to take a look at Rotten Tomatoes and just kind of go through where that stands right now. It's currently sitting at 78% overall. The audience rating is up to 89%, which, you know, anybody can vote on that. I have to bring that into question. So it's 48% top critics, and I trust them a little more than the other group. Some of them could have agendas too. You know, it's very possible. I don't think every reviewer does. I don't think every regular viewer of the movie is going to have an agenda. All right, I'm going to go look at the all critics section. Okay, I'm just going to go through a few of these, and I'm just going to pick one at random here. I don't know. Marianne Johansson, whatever the fuck her name is. I'm just going to pick. I'm going to see what she says. Boo yeah. My reaction to the idea of an all-female Ghostbusters reboot. I am desperate for movies about women doing all sorts of things. I mean, look, I'm not trying to take that whole road of being like there's been a lot of movies with women at the front doing all sorts of things, but there kind of has, man. Like, I'm not going to sit here and list them off, but you got Terminator and, dude, tons of Alien, you know, fucking recently there's been, you know, all the Paul Feig movies, pretty much any kind of fucking horror movie that's ever come out. No, tons of fucking movies, especially there's been a lot of action movies, a lot of sci-fi movies that have had prominent female lead characters. They like to paint this picture that they're always like these pieces of meat for men to gawk at, and that's not always the fucking truth. I mean, yeah, sure, sometimes. But anyways, including silly stuff like engaging in experimental particle physics. That's silly. Playing around with total protonic reversal and saving New York City. But I would also like women to get their own stories and the opportunity to create their own iconic characters. That's what the fuck I said in my last video about this. Genders, whatever. But one of the videos I made about Ghostbusters recently was about the memes. There was the meme about the little girl needing heroes of her own. And I was like, yeah, but why not invent new heroes instead of just taking old heroes and fucking turning them into women? Like, again, I don't care, you know, that's what they decided to do. it hurts my brain that people would rather just fucking take already established properties, already established characters, and just throw them away and fucking just replace them with almost exact copies, but with just a different gender or whatever, a different race, whatever. You've already got these characters established as who they are, and now you want to change it all up just so somebody can have somebody to identify with. Why not just make fucking unique new characters? It's, everything's derivative at this point in time, but you know what I'm saying. Invent new characters. Like, why not? Why do you want to fucking take everything? It doesn't make sense to me. I knew that even if this remake turned out to be completely amazing, any success would come with an asterisk. There had always been the real Ghostbusters. Not to be confused with the spin-off animated series The Real Ghostbusters, though there's that too. And the, quote, girl Ghostbusters. Women deserve better than to be constantly tagged as the lesser, the other, the not quite as good. Okay? I still believe all that. But I'm getting to have my feminist cake and eat it too. See? Agenda! Fucking agenda! Fuck me! Look, I hate to scream. I'm sorry. I don't mean to scream. But like, okay, I picked this review at random. At random. Look, and I'll go back. I'll pick a male reviewer just in case you want to call me. Let's see here. Okay, a random male reviewer. Give me a fresh one. Mike Scott. Let's go check him out. I know nothing about Mike Scott. So yeah, I mean, that woman, again, she may have loved the movie, and that was probably influenced by her feminist mindset, and that's fine. That's totally fine. If that's, more power to you. If that's who you are, that's how you identify yourself. I have no problem with that in and of itself. Can you really say that it didn't influence? She pretty much said it influenced her enjoyment of the movie, So how can we take these reviews seriously? So let's see what this guy says. The latest movie to fall victim to such an outpouring of online abhorrence, director Paul Feig's new Ghostbusters, which recently set a record as the most disliked movie trailer ever posted to YouTube, and the 9th most disliked YouTube video period, with 903,000 viewers giving it a thumbs down. While that's a big number, it should be noted that it's just a fraction of the 35 million users who viewed the trailer. Damn it. Online haters will offer any number of reasons. Why is he talking about this shit? Why is he not talking about the goddamn fucking movie? Answer me this. Why is he not talking about the movie yet? He's 2 paragraphs fucking in. See what I'm talking? Agenda. Look, I can't take any of these fucking people seriously. This is 2 reviews I picked at random. One male, one female. And they both clearly have an agenda. They can't just focus on the fucking movie itself. Now, there's more to read here. I'm sure he does. Let me go on. Especially without seeing the thing. All right, online haters, blah, 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 which it should be noted they have expressed without actually seeing the thing. The trailer stinks, they say. The original Ghostbusters is sacred. Others complain. Leslie Jones' character is too street, some add. But you don't have scroll too far into most comment streams to find the real reasons. It's because the new Ghostbusters recast the 4 leads as women. In this case, they are 4 very funny women. When it came time for Feig to decide who he was going to call to star in his film, he dialed up Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy, reteaming with him for the first time since their hit 2011 comedy Bridesmaids, along with Saturday Night Live cast members Kate McKinnon and Jones. But because their proton packs are notably different than those of Peter Venkman, Ray Stantz, Egon Spengler, and Winston Zedmore, the quartet of main characters from the first film, played by blah blah blah, many apparently believe they should be disqualified from ghostbusting. Nobody fucking believes that, dude. Alright, look, again, I didn't think I'd get this angry. But, again, Sony, proven. Whoever's running Sony's YouTube page, proven to be deleting people like me, other people, the majority of people that gave legit criticism to those trailers and left up the sexism, left the trolls to have their fun. And again, Some of them say some funny shit, I'm not going to lie. I don't agree with the shit they say, but some of them say some funny shit. But the fact of the matter is, they're a small minority of the people that had problems with this movie. They don't speak for the majority of the people that just said it looked like a bad fucking movie. And again, he's not really reviewing the movie at this point. We're four, how many paragraphs in? Let's see. Gosh, man. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so 8 paragraphs in, he's talking about the misogyny, the gender bullshit, the fucking trolls, you can't get your fucking review. You have to get all this fucking bullshit in first. How is that not an agenda? How is this not driven? Another positive review. This is 3 in a row now where a guy or a woman, this is a guy again, or was this 2? I've lost track at this point, but this is just another one that clearly shows that they have an agenda. All right, I'm gonna do one more just to prove that I didn't read through these beforehand. Let me find another fresh one. All right, at random. I'm not gonna fucking. I'll even pick a dude. All right. Is this a dude? It's AV Club. I know. I know AV Club's got a fucking agenda. All right, at random. I haven't read any of these except for the ones I just read. So let's go with Matt Prigg. Is that what this guy's name is? This is from Metro.us. Whew. The new Ghostbusters is both good and its own thing. Turns out men's rights activists are both sexist idiots and regular idiots. Fuck me! Now, I'm not a men's rights activist. I'm not a MGTOW. I'm not any of these things. In fact, I think that MRAs are just as ridiculous as feminists. MGTOWs, I feel the same way. Again, they make some, on both sides of the fence, feminists and MRAs and all those people, they all make good points, but they all make equally bad points too. But this just goes to show, again, agenda. Another positive review that you can't fucking trust because you don't know if he truly enjoyed it or if he's just saying that he enjoyed it because he doesn't want to be labeled a misogynist his fucking self. What the fuck? I called this in my last Ghostbusters video. I knew this was going to fucking happen. Go back and watch the video. I'll put an annotation on the screen. I'll put a link in the description. It's a little bit long, but go back and watch it. I called this shit. Oh my God. All right, let me just read. Maybe that's just the headline. Maybe he doesn't really go into it. Let me just read it. Oh, God, fucking right there. Relax, men's rights activist. The funniest part of the all-female Ghostbusters is a dude. Oh, God. As our hero's super dolt himbo of a secretary, Chris Hemsworth, deadpans up a storm, coolly rattling off absurdities, smiling stupidly, eating sandwiches mid-battle, and gamely sending up his status as a throwback macho god, we sometimes confuse with his very boring brother, what's his name? Hemsworth doesn't walk away with the movie. If anything, it's a photo finish with Kate McKinnon as the most unhinged of the main quartet. But it's really a comedy where everyone's funny, not the least the 4 women helping to rework and regender a beloved franchise that previously had 50% batting average. And they like to bash the old movies too. Like, it isn't just good enough that they can just review the new movie and let it stand on its own. No, they have to take shots at Ghostbusters 2, which again was mediocre, but it wasn't a total fucking piece of shit. Paul Feig's new Ghostbusters is good and fun and funny. It is of course a huge relief after all the hoopla over the unloved trailer and cries of childhood memories, blah 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 fucking blah. Agenda, fucking agenda, suck my dick, lick my nuts, stick a finger in my fucking ass. I'm not gonna read anymore. I didn't read any of these. I didn't pick these out beforehand. I've read, the only reviews I've read was the Richard Roper, is that his name, Richard Roper? I read that because somebody posted it to Reddit. There have been a couple of them posted to Reddit that I read. But all of these official reviews I have not read yet. I've just read like the basic points of them. This movie is going to fall victim to politics. I mean, it already has. That's the best you could put it. And so now I'm at odds. You know, there are people on YouTube that I've watched so far who have been extremely hard on the movie, who have said it's horrible. You know, like the Reckless Eating guys said, it paints men in a horrible light. But I've also heard that it's other people say that it makes everybody it's stupid. Like everybody in the movie is dumb. A lot of the positive reviews, I would say most, I haven't actually gone through every review, but a lot of them have been like just really middle of the road. Like I've already said, just very average at best. A lot of flaws, but they still somehow end up on the positive side, on the fresh side. I found one just as an example here. So let's check it out. This is let's see here. Who was Chris Nashawati? Chris Nashawati, is that how you say that? He gives it a C+, which is basically just barely passing. When it was first announced in late 2014, Paul Feig's Female-Fronted Ghostbusters instantly became more than just Hollywood's latest reclamation project. It turned into a cultural litmus test, a high-voltage third rail that brought out some of the uglier elements of the social media sphere. While some pounded their thumbs raw, tweeting about how sacrilegious it was to mess with the beloved touchstone of their youths, get over it. Others spewed mouth-breathing misogynist bile. Again, those people are trolls, and I would argue that most of them probably weren't serious. They're just trying to fuck with you. About the fact that the male cast would now be played by gasp women. Get a life. Either way, after a year and a half of noxious air, Feig's comedy is finally here, and it's time to ask the only question that should have been posed in the first place. Is the new Ghostbusters funny? The answer is kind of, but not nearly to the degree it should be considering the talent involved. What made the original Ghostbusters an instant classic is the summer of 1984 was not only the anarchic, loosey-goosey chemistry between Bill, Dan, Harold, and Ernie, but also its unique combination of high IQ smarts and lowbrow silliness served with a straight face. Tell him about the Twinkie. It was a big special effects blockbuster with the tossed-off hilarity of a killer improv set with Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, and SNL cast members Kate McKinnon and Leslie Jones now wearing the proton packs. The new Ghostbusters gets the chemistry part right, but the laughs don't pile up as high as you'd expect, which is strange because if anyone seemed right for this gig, it's Feig, a director who's carved out a sorely needed niche by showcasing hilarious women and really letting them soar in box office hits like Bridesmaids and Spy. So why does Ghostbusters feel so restrained? For starters, it's too slavish when it nods to the original. Although its throwback cameos are fun and too flailing and flat when it strays from it, Feig and co-writer Katie Dippold introduced a ghost-unleashing villain, then don't know what to do with him. Even the special effects are oddly schlocky. Seeing it in 3D is pointless aside from one coming-at-you slime gag. McCarthy, of course, gets off some lunatic one-liners. McKinnon, the group's loose cannon, can crack you up just by widening her wild-card eyes. Jones mixes her signature bluster with an air of gung-ho joy, and Wigg's timing is as Swiss precise as ever. That is, when she's not being saddled as the film's straight woman. Even Chris Hemsworth as the Ghostbusters' dim beefcake receptionist is funny for a while. But with a cast as daring and quick as this, one Ghostbusters is too mild and plays it too safe. Somewhere, I bet, there's an R-rated director's cut of the movie where these women really let it rip. I want to see that movie. C+. So that, to me, isn't a passing review. I mean, again, it's his review. He's the one that saw it. Maybe, like, he just didn't express it as well. Because, again, he's talking about how, you know, the actors were right, the chemistry was good, but it falls flat. You know, the 3D isn't good. The effects are schlocky. He says some positive things about the characters again. Chris Hemsworth is good for a while, but which says to me that it gets old, and that's what I've heard from most people who have been reviewing this. But he still gives it a passing grade, knowing what can happen if you talk bad about this movie. It makes me wonder if people aren't walking on eggshells. And that's all this video is about, is can we trust the Ghostbusters reviews? Some would say, well, no, just go see it for yourself and decide. But my thing is, there's a reason we have critics. And there's a reason we have marketing and trailers. Because if we just gave every movie a chance, every movie would be a fucking blockbuster. I've talked about this before. Every movie would break records every time it comes out because everybody would just go see it. You wouldn't even need trailers. You wouldn't even, like, critics, who would care? You know, it's like everybody would be a critic at that point. So, yeah, I mean, it's like, number one, I only have a few critics that I actually take to heart when they do a review, and I'm still waiting on a couple of those to come through. Most of them have not liked the movie, honestly, and that's why I'm not going to give this movie my money. And I'm going to leave it this. As I said before in my last video about this, if the movie doesn't get more than a meh, it's okay, you know, kind of overall review, which is what it seems to be at this point from most people reviewing it. Again, the Rotten Tomatoes scores, I don't really think those scores are really all that good because it's not nuanced. But anyways, it's 78% overall. But most of them, like I said, you know, it's decent enough. And to me, that tells me the movie's a failure. If it's just okay, if it's just average, or slightly below average, or slightly above average, either way, the movie's a failure. Let alone as something that should hold the name Ghostbusters. There seems to be quite a few reviews on Rotten Tomatoes following such logic, saying so much of the movie falls flat, yet they still give it a fresh review. And it just seems to me like they're afraid of some sort of backlash. Maybe not, but it's very strange. And again, given the few random reviews I picked that were totally, obviously backed by politics, it's, you know, it's weird. It's odd, and it makes it very untrustworthy. If these critics aren't being honest, you know, then maybe it's time we stop paying attention to critics. You know, maybe it's time we start giving YouTubers that actually go to these movies and put their opinions out there a little more credence, because I feel like a lot of them are being a lot more honest. There was one, Film Rant, I believe is the guy's name. He's from the UK. He went and saw the movie, and he had never seen a Ghostbusters movie, so he was completely unbiased going into this thing. And he didn't even he didn't like it. He pointed out, he broke it down piece by piece, and he explained why. And that's another one. I've never watched the guy before, but I watched that review, and the things he was saying kind of reaffirmed my suspicions. And I believe him because he doesn't have an agenda. And I think it's time for that. I think it's time to show these bloggers, these journalists, so-called, these critics that obviously have an agenda, that we're not going to listen to them anymore. That what they do is not so much, you know, review movies as they do review everything around the movies, especially with this one. And I predicted this. Like I said in my last video, I talked about how, you know, if the movie was just average or not that good, people were going to come out and say that it was average but passable, you know, and people were going to praise the progressivism of it. I think you owe it to the Ghostbusters franchise to make a movie that's better than just okay. And I don't think Feig was the right guy for the job. I think that's the problem. It wasn't the female cast. It wasn't any of those. I love those actresses. I love those actors, whatever you want to call them. I love those people. You know, they're all very good at what they do. But I don't think Feig was the right guy for the job. Or if he was, he might have been the right director. He had too much creative control, and I think that really hurt this movie. And I think it would be getting much better reviews if they had gone with somebody else. I don't know who, but somebody else. Anyways, I guess that's all I got for today. Again, I don't know if I'll see this movie while it's in theaters. I'll definitely see it at some point in time. I'm probably not going to pay to see it in theaters, though. I might go when it hits the dollar theater. Like I think it's like $2.75 now or something. But I might go see it then after they've made their money, and you know, because I just can't. I can't with all the fucking attacks on the fans and you know, all these you know, just all the bad blood, you know. I'm just so tired of it at this point. I can't even sit here and list it all off. There's so much. I just can't give them money for that. And the fact that it's, you know, it just seems like there was no love for the franchise put into this movie. It's you know, again, a lot of people seem to like it. Even more people seem to have an agenda, and I don't know if they're being completely honest, but as for me, I think I've heard enough. I'm not going to be giving this money. I'm not going to be giving this movie my money. And if you're even on the fence about it a little bit, I urge you to just wait until it comes out. Redbox it. Watch it on Netflix, because it will be on Netflix within a few months. Trust me, it will. You know, it'll be there probably within the year. So just wait. You know, you can wait for an average movie. And if you end up liking it, good. But, I mean, honestly, I don't see it happening for me. So, anyways, thanks for watching. I hope this didn't go too long. I'm probably going to have to cut a lot of shit out. But get with me in the comments below. Let me know how you feel about it. Let me know how you feel about these reviews. Do you trust them? You know, yeah, let's have a discussion about it. So give me a thumbs up, talk to me in the comments, and hit subscribe. Watch out for the potholes.